watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
Welcome to another big weekend of Scottish football action, and that one means one thing. It is the Scottish Football Zone on a Friday night. I'm joined by Robbie. Before anybody says anything, no, it's not AI. It's actually Robbie. I was speaking to him before we came live as well. Just to double check for the people it doesn't believe me. Robbie, are you there?
I am definitely here, Michael. Sorry, folks, for the technical difficulties this week. The webcam's refusing to work, but I can confirm I'm no AI, and I hate Jim Goodwin, so that's how you know it's me.
Maybe AI hates Jim Goodwin as well. You never know. So we're going to be joined by Ethan and Regan as well to talk about the weekend of the football. And yeah, it's a big weekend. I don't know how many times they'll say that now till the end of the season, Robbie, but there's a lot of games on. But definitely will. The big game of the weekend for us is Regan's Packet Thistle against St Johnstone. We'll get into that, but looking forward to that, Robbie. Robbie has got the usual question. So Robbie, the quizmaster, we're going to nickname him. So we're going to there we go. That's Ethan Barlow on as well. So we've got a full house, and he's not AI. Hopefully, not AI. I'm going to be in for a long show. So we've got Robbie asking the usual questions. We haven't come up with a name yet. We might have to come up with a name before the end of the season. But so idea for this is Robbie's going to give us one guess, and we're going to have a wee stab at it, and usually get it horribly wrong as always, but never mind, it's only for a bit of fun, and we will give you the answer. And by the way, you can take part in the chat as well. So there you go. Because we're on Facebook, Twitter, X, and Instagram tonight as always. So Robbie, quizmaster, over to you, mate, and give us the first guess of the question.
Yeah, we'll probably end up calling this just guess a player or guess a Scottish player or something along the lines, Michael. It's a fun wee game. I like doing it, but I will give you a first player. You know me, Michael. I like to make a theme for each week. I like to do a different sort of theme.
But by the way, Robbie, so just double check if Ethan's there.
Yes, I am. I'm there on the phone currently at the moment. I haven't.
Okay.
I've had a problem on my laptop. I should be joining on the laptop in just a couple of minutes. I'll stick my camera on, but I'm here and listening to Robbie's trivia in the meantime.
I'm having some difficulties today, it looks like.
Because I didn't want to chat to two chat bots, on the screen. So Robbie's real and Ethan's real, and I'm kind of halfway there. Sorry, Robbie. I thought we'd just check with Ethan there.
So you know me, Michael, I like a theme for each week. I don't want to just keep it boring and go and pick 3 random SPFL players. So the theme this week is it's going to be 3 different players that have played with or play for St Johnstone and Partick Thistle ahead of tonight's huge crunch match in the Championship. Of course, it is a very, very big match in the Championship, and there's Ethan's face there. So we can confirm he's no AI. He is indeed a human, but So the theme, St Johnstone and Partick Thistle players. So your first one is this player started his career off in 2014, where he spent 6 years at St Mirren, racking up 128 appearances, scoring only 2 goals.
Okay, so it's going to be a defender then. Started his career at St Mirren.
Yeah, in 2014.
2014, no, that's too late for him, I think. No, I don't think I have it.
Michael, any clue?
I've got a Scooby-Doo, mate. I don't know if Scooby-Doo did play for Packet Fist, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure. Anybody watching, you can do better than me and Ethan. There's no in the chat.
Do you want the next team?
Yeah, okay.
Right, next team. In 2019, he went on loan for his final year at St Mirren. He went on loan to Greenock Morton, where he spent a year at the club, making 24 appearances, scoring 3 goals. For St Mirren to Greenock Morton.
What is it with you and Morton and St Mirren? Because last week, that was one of the... Was that not one of the first questions last week?
Maybe. I can't quite remember, Michael. I think it might have been.
And it was, and they went down to England. I can't... Queen's Park to Morton.
No, I got it.
No, okay.
I can give you the next team if you want.
Yes, please.
In 2020, he moved to Ayr United after his St Mirren contract finished, where he spent 2 years at Ayr, making up 54 appearances, scoring 2 goals.
2 goals? You must be a brilliant player.
I think he's probably a defender in fairness, Psycho.
I'd hope so with these stats, to be fair.
No, my
the next club's probably again one of the biggest, but it is he's setting most appearances at a singular club.
Okay.
So the next one's in 2022. He moved back to Greenock Morton, where he then spent 3 years at the club, making 100 appearances, scoring 12 goals. And if you want it, I can give you the last club.
Yes, please. I think we'll need it.
Okay, so the last club where he currently plays, 2025, he moved to St Johnstone, where he's currently played 18 games, scoring 2 goals.
Current St Johnstone defender. He played for St Mirren for a while. It's gonna really annoy me.
Do you want to move on and come back to this? Because I don't know if we'll get this.
Well, like, I was thinking we did this one now, then I've got another 2, so we can do them a bit later on the show. But
okay.
I thought we'd get this one at the way first, and then we'll go on with the next later.
That's my tactic, so you can let it go now.
If you don't know it,
I'm gonna know it as soon as you tell me as well. Like, it's just
it's going to be that obvious.
I can tell you, obviously, I'm sure you would have worked it out, but it was a Scottish Championship winner with St Mirren, winning it in 2017-18 under Jack Ross. Obviously didn't really stay on in the Premiership, but he's always been a consistent Championship centre back.
Yeah, that's going to help us probably, Sam, for that.
No, I'm not. My ball knowledge.
Do you want me to reveal the player?
Yes, please.
I'll reveal it. Michael, any clue before I reveal it?
No.
No, it is Jack Baird.
No.
That's might be the easiest one at the list.
Oh, no.
Oh, right, okay, but that's good. Oh, well, then I come on this show for some therapy, but I don't know if it's helping me any as well. I need to go back to my counsellor, I think, for the weekend. So Robbie's going to come and be difficult questions there. So I'm looking forward to that already. Okay, big games this weekend, guys. Let's begin at the top of the league then.
Michael, see just before we begin, actually.
Yes.
I did actually see some news today I thought I wanted to bring onto the show. I want to get your guys' thoughts on something. As we know, the World Cup's only getting closer. We're about 80 days now away for the World Cup kicking off in America. Scotland have revealed the new top for the World Cup. Well, one of the new tops, the away strip. And I want to know your guys' rating out of 10 on this. So I do have a picture here I can actually bring up and stream. This is the new Scotland away top. I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this before we moved on to the games. Just like it?
I like it. I think it's a nice addition to the Scottish and Adidas partnership. What I will say is that I think some of the other Adidas-inspired away kits are better. Some of the other nations' ones I do like better than the Scotland one, but it's not a bad kit by any means. So I'd probably have to give it a rating, maybe a 7.5. It's good, very solid effort, but I think there was room for improvement. But I will probably be picking one up before the tournament begins, as well as the home top. So another good addition by Adidas.
Yeah, I've got to say the tracksuit that Scotland have released as well is very, very nice. The purple one, although that is very, very extortionate to buy that. I think it's coming in at about £100. So it is definitely no cheap, but it is some very nice stuff for the World Cup. Actually, there's a lot of good range out there with the World Cup kits. Maybe we should do that in a show one day, actually, before the World Cup. Rank all the kits. That'd be quite a good idea. But no, I just want to bring that I like, because I like reviewing kits, Michael, and I thought I actually really do like this kit. I think it's about us. So I'm pretty happy with that before the World Cup.
Yeah, no, it's a good grip. I'm sure Graham probably can help me here, because I think it's the same age as me, but I think Scotland can get a script similar to that in like the 90s. I want to say, but I could be horribly wrong for that one as well. So Graham, help me out in the chat, because I know that you know your stuff as well. So there you go. Fun enough, Graham's commenting on the Hearts game, and that's what we're going to kick off with, guys. The League's Hearts against Dundee last week. Tomorrow, Tynecastle. First of all, were you surprised at the result last week, Ethan? Come out 1-0.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised. That I did expect Hearts to go to Rugby Park and pick up the 3 points, but I knew it wasn't going to be easy against Neil McCann's side. And, you know, I think we've said it a 1,000 times, but all 3, well, now 3, maybe 4 for a couple of weeks in Motherwell, title contenders, we're all going to drop points between now and the end of the season. I think it's about how Hearts bounce back, and that's why it makes this such a big game, because if they drop any more points here, then you really may feel like the writing's on the wall for them dropping out of the title race. But I don't think that'll be the case. I think they've got a really good opportunity to bounce back and get 3 points. Again, it won't be an easy game, but I don't think any game in the division at the moment is an easy game, even against the sort of castaway Livingston. I don't think anybody's finding it easy playing against them at the moment. And Dundee, who were really terrible last weekend in the derby, and looked like they were going to be beaten easily by United, managed to somehow get a point out of that with 2 goals in injury time. So they'll be flying high off of that, and they've shown on multiple occasions this season they can really battle with all of the big teams. Obviously beat Celtic this season, got a point at Ibrox, beat Motherwell recently at home. So I think Dundee will make it difficult for Hearts, but I could see Derek McInnes's team just getting the job done. But as I said, it'll be a tight game, I think, and it won't be easy. Obviously, the big interesting points is how far away are Shankland and Devlin to being fully fit to start a match. Will they start the match of the weekend? I don't think so. I think McInnes may ease them in, but as Graham said, having them back in the squad's obviously a huge boost, and that's what I think I've been saying. As long as Hearts can stay in touch and distance, or even better, stay ahead of Celtic and Rangers while those 2 players are out, will feel like massive additions when they come back. It's arguably 2 of, if not their 2 most important players coming back. But for the final stretch of the season, the final 8 games now. So yeah, a massive opportunity for Hearts to bounce back, but Stephen Presley's team will not make it easy for them.
Robbie, all the questions was about how is Hearts got the coat, obviously, because Shankland, Devlin, and Baningime was all out of the team, and I would say that the weather just stormed well, obviously, apart from last week, and against you guys in Paisley a few months ago. But apart from that, they've handled it well.
They have for the most part, but it is the games that you need to win if you're going to be champions. You know, Celtic come to Paisley a few months ago and Callum McGregor finds a goal out of nowhere to win the game 1-0, and that can sort of be the difference. And I think Hearts have done well for all, be it, you know, they've kept ourselves right up there. With, you know, I keep mentioning it, we keep going back to, we'll see where they are in January, we'll see where they are come the split. Well, they're still tap, and we're only a couple of games off the split, so they're keeping themselves in this fight. I personally think they're going to win it. I don't. I've said that last week as well on the show. I think Celtic are going to win the league now, but I definitely think it's going to be pushed into the wire. But I can also see Merdrak points coming this weekend. They're facing the fourth most informed team in the country right now in Dundee. Them and Rangers are the only two teams not to have lost a game in the last 5. So it's going to be a really difficult game. Stephen Presley knows how to coach a team. It's these games where if Hearts can keep winning, they're going to keep themselves in with a chance. But there's too many of these 1-0s, you feel, that are no helping them. And look, Hearts didn't deserve to win last week at Kilmarnock. There was no point in that game where I watched it saying, Hearts were the better team there, Hearts were the better team there. It was all Kilmarnock for most of the game. The fact that it only finished 1-0, in my opinion, was probably a bit fairer than Hearts than it was Kilmarnock. I thought they could have won a good 2 or 3. So I'm sure Hearts will be disappointed. But as you mentioned, having Shankland and Devlin back is going to really help the running, and you feel like that can be the point for Hearts, you know. But bringing them back, they're the players that are going to get you 3 points in this running. So it's only going to help them. And I think what will probably help them as well is not having many players called out to their international teams. As Graham mentions, Craig Halkett, somebody on Wednesday's show that we mentioned, we couldn't believe he wasn't in the team. I certainly thought Craig Halkett should have been called up, but it's probably a positive for Hearts, to be honest, and a negative.
I think as well, even not to get too far away from the game tomorrow. Obviously, we'll come back to this game in a minute, but Graham kind of makes a good point, and I know like Robbie and the guys covered this on Wednesday on the show, but I mean, obviously Halkett's not in the squad, but also you can say that none of the Motherwell Scotland players has made the Scotland squad as well.
Yeah, and it was really surprising and disappointing, I think, and Steve Clarke sort of went down the lines of saying just because they're performing well as teams doesn't mean that the certain individual players deserve the opportunity and will be able to perform at that level. But you also don't know that until you give them the opportunity to. And when Scotland have got qualification for the World Cup wrapped up, they're going into an international break with 2 friendlies to just enjoy the lack of pressure on the national team and not having to do anything in these 2 games. I know friendlies are never a real reflection of a major tournament or whatever, but you can bring players into the squad, see how they're going to settle in, and I think Craig Halkett's certainly one who deserved, probably, well, I'd say the most deserving of any of the Hearts players this season. You can maybe even say above Lawrence Shankland, with how consistent he's been throughout the season, and probably the best central defender across the league, across the course of the season. So, yeah, I think he can feel really hard done by, and now the fact that they can't even get into this squad, the Hearts and Motherwell players. Motherwell, we've obviously got Stephen Welsh. I think few people wanted him in. Maybe Stephen O'Donnell as well, Elliot Watt, to name a few. So, yeah, it is disappointing. And I would have liked to see Steve Clarke be a little bit more adventurous in this international break and give players the opportunity to come in, to give him a real sort of wide selection range for the World Cup when it comes around, because there is a chance there's going to be key players injured. Obviously, right back's an area for Aaron Hickey and Nathan Patterson that always seems to have injury problems. Ben Gannon-Doak as well. I believe he's back in Bournemouth training, but his fitness has never been consistent either. So, yeah, it would have been nice to get Craig Halkett in the squad, but unfortunately it's not the case. But as Robbie made the point, from a selfish point of view for the Jambos and Derek McInnes, I think they'll secretly be a little bit happy that he won't be going away and he'll get to rest over that period and keep him fresh for the the final 2 games to come after the break, which are 2 massive ones at that, away to Livingston, and then of course a big game at home to Motherwell on the final day before we enter the final 5 games of that split.
Robbie, what about your thoughts about the Scotland squad? I know that you covered this, and maybe this is all kind of news, but you covered it on the show on Wednesday night. But what do you think of Halkett not in the squad, and also the Well boys as well? Motherwell, sorry.
Yeah, it was surprising to me, Michael. We sort of covered it in depth on Wednesday. I would encourage you to go and check that out because we had Jamie on for the other side, who was an amazing guest. But I was very surprised not to see Craig Halkett. I thought he's been an exceptional centre-back this season, and don't get me wrong, I'm not discounting guys like Dominic Hyam because he's playing regularly in the English Championship for Wrexham, who are then decent in that league. So, you know, he's very much earned his way into the Scotland team as well. But I'm looking at the Hearts' rival team across the road, and looking at Grant Hanley and being like, are we really calling this guy up there, Craig Halkett? And I know Clark is obviously always going to have his loyalties towards players, of course, as any manager does. But if we're going based off a foreman who's actually playing well, it's Craig Halkett any day of the week for me. And look, nothing about that squad surprises me, Michael. I'm not surprised that's who he's went with, but the forward line for me is where I'm most confused. How Barney Stewart isn't getting a call up to the squad, and I believe the question was raised on Wednesday whether he's eligible or not. I do believe he is to be called up. So the fact for me he's not been called up is probably the worst decision out of the lot, in my opinion. Naturally, the most gifted finisher we'd have in that squad. I don't think I'm too outstretched in saying that out of the strikers that he has called up. I think Barney Stewart would go in there, and I think he'd show a bit more than the strikers we've got available. And I can see why Steve Clark's went with the options he has. Of course, he's going to go with Lyndon Dykes and Che Adams. We know this, but as Ethan said, you know, this is the time to experiment a bit, see how these players are going to fit in, not just for now, but for the future of the squad. And Barney Stewart should have been in that squad for me, to be honest with you. I mean, if Finlay Curtis is going to get in, why no Barney Stewart up there as well?
Yeah, Finlay Curtis was great to see him getting the opportunity, because I think we've seen, given the opportunity of regular minutes at Kilmarnock, he can do what I think everybody knew he could do. Danny Rule obviously chose to loan him out instead of letting him fight for his place at Rangers, which I think he might regret, and I think a lot of the Rangers fans regret that decision. And now Finlay Curtis is obviously someone you'd expect to be part of the Scotland fold for a while down the line, so getting him in early and getting him used to be part of the structure is a very good thing. But you could also say, like you said, Barney Stewart, has he performed better than Finlay Curtis? You could certainly make that argument. Calvin Miller, another winger, could you say he's performed better than Finlay Curtis? You certainly could. So, yeah, I think there is a lot of players that can feel hard run by in central defence. You mentioned Grant Hanley, but as well with John Souttar as well. I think he's someone who's had a really disappointing season for Rangers, especially recently. He's obviously fell out of favour in central defence. It looks like Danny Rule's preferred pairing would be Emmanuel Fernandez and Nasser Jigan. From what I've seen against Celtic in the Scottish Cup quarter-final the other weekend, I think that would be the strongest partnership. So, yeah, Craig Halkett's playing in the best team in the league across the course of the season. He's been the most consistent central defender, and he's not getting a chance, which is, it's strange and disappointing. But I think this is something we've got used to with Steve Clark, that he has got his favourite players and he's got to stick with them. That's obviously got him to 3 major tournaments. You just hope that it gives us the best chance when we get there and progressing out of the group and having a successful tournament as a whole.
I think I'm actually...
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say, I think I'm actually more fuming that Barney Stewart's not in there than Craig Halkett, and of course I would have loved Craig to be in there, but I'm really looking at that forward line, and I know it's only 2 friendlies, of course it is, but I'm worried where we're going to get goals for if that's the kind of forward line he's thinking of taking to the World Cup. You know, I'm thinking ahead if he picks the 5 players, which I don't know if he will take Finlay Curtis, I don't know. Of course, we'll need to see how he performs in these friendlies and how he handles it. But if that is to be the 5, then I really struggle to find where our goals come from in the forward area. So I I do think this would have been the time to call it Barney Stewart, and I'm a bit more fuming, to be honest, that he's not called him up. But I'm equally as raging that Craig Halkett's not in there. You know, you mentioned John Souttar. I think that is probably the big one for me, that he's not getting John Souttar, to be honest, and Grant Hanley. I'd fling both of them in there. I think, as far as I'm aware, Jack Hendry's having a good season where he's playing. I think the owner was actually out saying they're already getting £10+ million bids in for Jack Hendry at his club. So he seems to be doing all right. But I just find it baffling again that we've come out of an international break and you're reading the same players. You know, no offence to your Andy Irvins and Ross McCrory's and all that sort of stuff, George Huss, but they're not even getting minutes when they're called up. You know, why not fling a guy like Barney Stewart in and just go, look, shows what you can do in these 2 games. Especially the Japan game at Hampden. I know obviously Coat of the Ivory is slightly different because it's at Everton Stadium, but you know, same applies. Get them in, give them that experience, and see what happens. So it just baffled me, to be honest with you. I think, by the way, there's been a lot of debate about it, but fair play to Scott Bain for getting a shout up, and I don't expect him to be starting. But I keep making this argument that Scott Bain's the only goalkeeper right now at that selection that's playing regular game time, and that's not me, by the way, making an argument for Scott Bain to be starting at the World Cup or starting in these friendlies, not at all. But it's just, you know, when you look at it from that perspective, it is a bit mental, in it. Like we've got 2 goalkeepers there that will start or Scott Bain. There's no doubt in my mind Steve Clarke would pick Angus Gunn and Liam Kelly or Scott Bain. Yeah, Scott Bain's the only one playing regular football.
Yeah, and I think Scott Bain will go to. I think he'll go to the tournament. I think Angus Gunn will, if he's fit, and obviously he's not going to be playing regular football. I don't think at Nottingham Forest, and hopefully he gets the move elsewhere to go and play that regular football like he was previously at Norwich City. And then I think Craig Gordon obviously deserves to go if he's fit, and I think that will be the 3 goalkeepers. Obviously Kelly's in there now, he's been in squads previously, and I think his selection this time around makes sense. I've not really got any problems with any of the goalkeeper selections. It's a position that we've struggled in for a little bit now, but hopefully we can get someone in by the World Cup that's maybe starting. Although I think it will probably be Angus Gunn that will start this camp, and then maybe Craig Gordon will start at the World Cup if he's fit again because of what he done in those massive last couple of matches of the qualifying campaign.
Robbie, it's going to be quite interesting going back to the game tomorrow. Obviously, Hearts and Dundee, how both teams will come back from their games last week. Obviously, Graham was mentioning there about Shankland and get Devlin. Hearts will get a bounce by it because I think they'll start the game, both of them, and I think it'll be a full house. But it'll be interesting to see how Hearts bounce back from this week's defeat against Kilmarnock, and it'll be interesting to see how Dundee kicks on after the point against Dundee United. But I mean, if you look at the timings of the goal, Robbie, you would basically say that that's more like a 3 point for Dundee instead of picking up a point.
Aye, well, obviously we're going to speak about Dundee United later, and the sort of hit and morale that probably took to them. But for Dundee,
I meant Dundee.
No, I'm just saying when we're going to speak to Dundee United later, the sort of morale hit is took on them. But for Dundee, it's sensational. You know, that type of turnover in the derby game. And you've got to give full credit to Stephen Presley. As I mentioned, he's the 4th most informed team in the country right now in the last 5 games. So he's got them playing well. And look, if you're Dundee going to Hearts, you show up to no fear. You know, Hearts are really scoring more than 1 goal in games. They're getting through quite a lot of the games with 1-0 scorelines. You can look back, and this isn't just a recent thing. This is the full season they're doing this. So if you're Dundee, you need to go there and you then need to show no fear. But if you're Hearts, Michael, this is it. There is, you know, we've come on this show countless weeks when they've had the big point gap and said, right, well, they can afford a few slip-ups, they can afford a few errors. No, you can't, because you're now at the point where one of the Celtic or Rangers can jump above you if you lose a game. So this is it now for McInnes and their players. They need to start winning. And they've probably got the toughest challenge they could face right now with Celtic or Rangers. So it's going to be a pretty tough game for them. Just on Graham's point there, I think he's right. I think Shankland and Devlin back will be a negative for Celtic and Rangers as well as a positive for Hearts. But two players don't win your league. And I know that Shankland and Devlin are undoubtedly Hearts' best players, especially Shankland. They can find a goal out of anywhere. And maybe that will help Hearts win games. But see, if you're talking about leagues, it's a completely different story. You need every single player to be right on the ball for a whole season. We've obviously seen this season slightly different circumstances. Every team's had their blips at some point. And the team I predict to win the league certainly had their blips at some point. But you just compare the two teams. You compare Hearts and Celtic. Celtic have a balanced team that can win a league, in my opinion. That they've got enough quality in each position where they can win the league. Hearts, there's still a few upgrades that I think they need. And by the way, that's not a bad thing to Hearts. This is the first season under Tony Bloom's investment. There's still a long, long way to go in this journey for Hearts, and I'm sure they will keep improving as time goes on. But my God, this is really do or die time for Hearts now. These last sort of 8 games, this is where they need to win and try and win every game.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it is it's sort of do or die for Hearts. But I would agree. I would also caveat that by saying it's the same for Celtic and Rangers. If they drop any points at the weekend, it could be a real momentum shift for them and a test of their mentality. For Celtic and Rangers, I think it's obviously going to be negative. Hearts having their two of the, if not their most important players back, and I don't think I could have seen this Hearts team beating. I know they lost to Rangers a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, I couldn't have seen this Hearts team beating Celtic or Rangers at the moment, but with Shankland and Devlin in their ranks, I think they certainly have a lot better of a chance. And it'll be really interesting to see how this game against Dundee plays out, because as you made the point, Robbie, in 4 of Hearts' last 5 games, excluding the defeat at Ibrox, have been decided by 5 of the last 6 games, have been decided by the odd goal. 3 1-0 wins for Hearts, 3 1-0 defeats. 2 1-0 defeats for Hearts. Whereas Dundee, I think there's been 22 goals across their unbeaten run of the last 5 games. So complete opposite scales there. So will it be a low-scoring affair, or will it be another kind of frantic match like we've seen from Stephen Presley's teams recently? So yeah, I don't know. It's a difficult game to call, but I think Hearts will bounce back, and I think they'll win in narrow fashion to put the pressure on Rangers, who obviously play on Saturday evening, and then Celtic, who obviously play on the Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. Even it's the knowing now it's Hearts turn to put the pressure on Rangers and Celtic. We've seen what happened last week when one of the teams got to put pressure on Hearts. Of course, it didn't go well on the Saturday night, so it's time for Hearts now to do the same. I'm assuming we'll do predictions in a minute, but just finally, I think it will be a nervous game. I think the fans will feel the nerves, because it's not became a fun time for Hearts anymore, as much as Hearts fans will, and I'm sure Graham will write in the comments that they're just enjoying it while it lasts. But let's be honest, the pressure's going to be on the Hearts fans, the pressure's going to be on Derek McInnes, and it'll be on the players, because this is one of the best shots they've had in about 40 years. So it's definitely a pressure time for me at Tynecastle, and I think you'll feel that in the stadium for anybody that's heading along to the game. And I think you can see that in Derek McInnes now, by the way. I think you can tell in his facial expressions, the way he talks, the way he looks on the touchline, you can tell he's starting to get a bit nervous for this. So it's really time for Hearts to kick on and prove why they can be champions.
Yeah, and Derek McInnes said yesterday, it was doing this press conference, he says Dundee are a good team. I watched them last week, and Stephen Presley is a good manager. I mean, Paul Presley said the compliments that galore here. He said Hearts are a very good team at home. They will be determined to get back to winning ways. So we need to be ready for that game, Robbie.
Aye, I do love listening to Stephen Presley, and I'll be honest with you, he's an intriguing character to listen to in press conferences. You're right, it is compliments galore, but you can, the both teams are having exceptional seasons by where we had them. Graham's point there, I don't think it's pressure. I disagree, but especially with McInnes, I think you can see the pressure on McInnes' face. To be honest, I obviously you've done well for 6 months, but see with the way McInnes is going on in his press conferences, I think you can start to see a bit of pressure getting to him, in my opinion. But I think, you know, both clubs, as I said, they're having exceptional seasons, but both for different reasons. And everyone here, well, Maestay's had Dundee in either the bottom 2 or bottom 3 in the league from the start of the season. People really had Hearts making into the top 6 because they finished bottom 6 last year. So both are doing very, very well. And it's going to be a pretty intriguing matchup. I think Ethan's right. I think it would not to spoil my prediction, but I think it will end by the odd goal in this matchup. I think it will be another close game.
Yeah, Hearts haven't lost at home in the league this season as well, so they'd obviously have to change that. I think Dundee have only won away from home twice, so yeah, I think it would be a really uphill battle, even with the momentum Dundee are carrying, both sort of how they've been playing and obviously the psychological advantage you take from scoring 2 late in the goals against their rivals to spoil their party, and obviously Hearts coming but off the back of the disappointing defeat to Kilmarnock. So I'll go Hearts a narrow win, 2-1 home win for the Jambos, and Lawrence Shanklin to get the winning goal. There you go.
Oh.
Robbie?
Yeah, I'm going to go narrow, and for all that I've said about Dundee being the 4th informed team, and I've said the Hearts hand up, I think they will, and I think they're going to snatch us. I'm going to go Hearts 1, Dundee 0, and I think it's going to be a late goal for Hearts that wins the game.
Yeah, I'm going with you, Rob's getting this 1-0 to Hearts as well. As well. By the way, I've just got an interesting message from Ethan here, Robbie, right? He says, do you have to get Robbie's questions again? I want to agree with him, but maybe I disagree with him very slightly.
Listen, Jack Baird was very, very easy to get, and I'm sure most of the chat would have got it, so we'll see how you handle the next 2 when they come in.
Oh, no.
So, there you go. No, Ethan, but having Robbie's second questions, whether you like it or not. And I'm not saying anything. I'm sitting on the fence as usual. So, Robbie, give us your second question of the night, and we'll try and do our best to not get it right.
Yep. So this player was born in Bishopbriggs in Scotland. First team he played for 2010. He played with Partick Thistle, where he spent 15 years at the club. This is probably the easiest one, actually. He spent 15 years at Partick Thistle, making 349 appearances, scoring 15 goals. What I will say is he had a loan spell in 2010 for a year at Ayr United, where he made 17 appearances, scoring 4 goals. It is not Chris Doolan.
Did you hear Chris Doolan? Did you listen to the goal return? It's a defender, obviously, but again, no, he didn't play. He played for other teams.
I need to start finding out how many assists these guys go to clubs. So
Fair enough. He said it before. Okay, I'll let him believe it.
I'm going to try and find out how many assists he's got in that Partick Thistle stint.
I feel like he played for someone else. No, I was just going to go. It's not Ashcroft. He played for someone else, didn't he?
Yeah, it's not Ashcroft. It's a good guess, but
no, he played for Dunfermline as well.
Okay.
Yeah, Kilmarnock.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd only played for Partick Thistle. I just think they're Partick Thistle defenders.
Obviously, Chris Doolan would have been the obvious one, but obviously not. So there you go. You give us another.
I don't know if there is any actual clues, is there?
There is only one other club.
Okay.
As Ayr United, where they moved in 2025, making 21 appearances and scoring 0 goals. I do believe he's still playing with Ayr United. If I actually just fact check that. Or is he retired? No, he's still playing for Ayr United.
Oh, this is poor. This is poor for me. Poor for me. But I don't think I'm going to get it.
I thought this was the easiest one. I know it a lot.
It probably is the easiest one. If he's played for Partick Thistle for 15 years, then I should be able to get it. But
this player is known for his flicks, passing, creative instinct, and leadership.
he's flicks.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find any sort of clue that indicates who this player is. A tough and tenacious player who's constantly strong.
Yeah. I think
Any clues at all?
No, I don't.
I think the chat's maybe not going to get it either, to be honest with you.
Put me out my misery, because I'm going to know who it is once you tell me this one.
Okay, it is Michael. Any clue before, sir?
Yeah, I think I've got his name, but I can see him in my head, but I can't get it. He's a wee guy. Is he? No. Okay. I'm not. Okay.
Michael, you're getting claims that you're reading the Wikipedia here.
No, I'm not.
I've looked it up and I've got it now.
All right, do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Right, it is Stuart Bannigan.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't have got that. I'm not going to try and say that I would have, but I was thinking defender, so that was already where I went wrong there.
No, I actually thought that would have been the easiest one, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that is an easier one.
Never, Alex has never heard
Never
of the
heard of the guy. There you go. There you go. If he's watching, you're good for him. Yep, so let's go on to talk about the next game of the weekend then. Takes place on Sunday at 12:30. Against Dundee United against Celtic Ethan. And for all of Hearts injuries, Celtic's had injuries as well. Alistair Johnson is back in training as well. But I suppose the big news from Celtic this week is Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, obviously it looks like he's going to be out, and it looks like his Celtic career is going to come to a close. And yeah, I think everyone could tell there was something not right there, and that he did have an injury, and I think you could see that in the way he was playing, and I think people were assuming that he was sort of protecting himself and his career in order to stay fit for the World Cup. And obviously now he's had to come out of playing football. The injections weren't working, and I think now he has to look after himself to try and have any chance of playing his football career continuing beyond this injury. I think he said that it's potentially that he's played his last ever football match, which is obviously not a nice thing to hear for any professional footballer. I think some of the Celtic fans have been frustrated with the fact that they feel that he's played through an injury to improve his chance of playing for the national team rather than looking out for the best intentions of the football club Celtic. And yeah, I think Alex made the point there that, or asking the question, has he been selfish? I think you could say that, but at the same time, you're not in his position, and none of us are in a position to want to try and play in a World Cup tournament for their national team. So yeah, it's difficult, and I understand why the Celtic fans would feel like that, but at the same time, maybe if you were in his shoes, you would do the same thing. So yeah, it really disappointing. Obviously, Celtic have got the benefit now that they get to give Foljamie Sinisalo the opportunity to play in goals until the end of the season. I think he's been a breath of fresh air in between the sticks. He's been really good, and I think it's good that this sort of saga has been cleared up from Celtic, because I think what will I say? There was sort of rumours that he was causing a star and spitting the dummy out. That obviously doesn't seem like the case anymore. So I think it's best that it's been cleared up for Celtic and they can put that behind them and move on now with the players that are fit and have obviously committed their future to the club.
The one thing I will say
Robbie,
on that.
no, I was going to say, Robbie, do you think it's a bit selfish of him to do that? Because apparently, I can't remember what game he was at, but I think it was Wednesday night? But he made that announcement on TV with Mike Ritzig and his old man as well. But Martin O'Neill was having a joke today, but deep down, I think he was a bit annoyed how he never kind of make it under kind of being at Lennoxtown and all that, but he was miles away. He announced it on TV. I don't think that's the right thing to do as well,
Probably not, to be honest with you. And I do think it is pretty selfish, but the one thing I won't agree with is Celtic fans going all over the place online and saying it's his fault Celtic are in the position they're in. It's not. You can't blame a goalkeeper for where Celtic are. You can't blame a goalkeeper for losing at home 2-1 to Hibs. You can blame him for... and look, every goalkeeper makes mistakes. Schmeichel's had his fair share of mistakes in his career. Every goalkeeper has. But the one thing I don't agree with is Celtic... I'm not saying anybody here has, by the way, but I don't agree with Celtic fans saying this is entirely his fault why Celtic are no further ahead in this title race, because it's not. There's a lot of times Celtic could have helped themselves pick up points and get wins and stuff. So I don't agree with that, but I do agree that it was very selfish for Schmeichel, and I think it was a bit strange to reveal this on TV. No, I don't want them at Simon next season. I'd rather play Petr Rominski, to be honest with you. But no, I do definitely think that was a bit of a strange decision to announce it in that manner. Obviously, I don't think he's going to announce something like that without speaking to the club about it first. In my opinion, I don't think he's just went on there and went, I'm going to announce this before the club even knows. I'm sure he would have let people know about this. People would have found out that this was the issue. But it might have cost them games. But you can't blame it you can't blame Celtic season and them sitting second on Schmeichel alone. That's utterly ridiculous to blame it on one player for Celtic being that bad. It's just no, you just can't, in my opinion. So I definitely think he's made his fair share of mistakes, and there's countless ones you could go through and say we might have lost the game there, but to even try and blame it on him for Celtic's poor than standard season is just beyond me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, and I think although Kasper Schmeichel's been very poor and made loads of mistakes, which have probably in games cost Celtic big moments, you can't put the sole responsibility on him. There's been 3 managers that have played the goalkeeper through this injury. I think the injury was sustained in the same international break last season with Denmark, and all 3 of those managers have played him through that, while Vilsami Sinisterra, who they brought in for money, I believe, I think it was £1 million or something like that, he signed from Aston Villa, and they chose to keep playing Kasper Schmeichel. So although you can blame the goalkeeper, it's also the manager's decision to take him out the firing line and give someone else the opportunity. So yeah, I think Kasper Schmeichel, I think you could label it selfish, and I don't think you would really be wrong to suggest that, but at the same time the managers still had the opportunity to take him out, and they didn't until the point in which it seemed Kasper Schmeichel was no longer able to play, and Vilsami Sinisterra gets the opportunity. And now you wonder what would have been the result had Celtic had went down that route earlier. But I think you could have asked that question about so many things to do with Celtic this season. Had they kept Martin O'Neill, had they recruited better in the summer? It's all if, buts and maybes at this point. But the point is that Celtic are still in with a chance at winning the Scottish Premiership and the Scottish Cup, and that's obviously got to be the main focus on Martin O'Neill in the players' minds at the minute.
Yeah, and by the way,
Robert,
sorry, Michael, if I can just say one thing finally on it. I do think you can definitely say Schmeichel, as you mentioned, even he has lost Celtic points, and he lost Celtic a national trophy. I think it was the third that a younger scores with a header. It's really bad goalkeeping for Kasper Schmeichel, but I mean, we'd never know at this point if Celtic would get back in the game. I know that, we can never tell, but they did definitely feel like that sealed the game when that third goal went in. So, I get it. He's made mistakes, and I definitely think you can look at certain games and maybe say, Schmeichel's maybe cost us a goal or two there, or he's done some bad goalkeeping there. But to try and blame him for a season, and to try and blame him for where Celtic are sitting right now is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and even that St Mirren game, I think you're being harsh. I think Celtic were just poor in the day, and St Mirren were a lot better and deserved the win regardless of poor goalkeeping. I think the only game that you could put solely on Kasper Schmeichel maybe being the difference between two teams was the Stuttgart at home game, where he made two massive errors, but at the same time, Celtic were terrible in that game and didn't deserve to get anything from it. So, yeah, he's been responsible for big moments and big games, but at the same time, as I said, he could have been pulled out the firing line and wasn't. But now it's been left in a recoverable situation from Celtic's point of view in terms of winning the league title and winning the Scottish Cup, and that's the main thing. And I think Sinisalo's been really solid, and Celtic can look to build on him as possibly their next number one goalkeeper. I'd imagine they should bring someone else in. They've obviously got Ross Doohan there, who's shown he's a decent goalkeeper in the Scottish Premiership, but you would imagine they will go into the transfer market to try and bring another goalkeeper in, whether that be an experienced goalkeeper like Kasper Schmeichel or a sort of maybe younger goalkeeper, even younger than Sinisalo, to develop behind him. So obviously we'll see what happens, but it looks like Sinisalo's a really capable goalkeeper that can grow into that position at Celtic.
By the way, can I just back Robbie's point up as well? It's easy for Celtic supporters to say Schmeichel is blamed for that. But let's remember, guys, that he's been a good servant to Celtic over the years as well. So, it's all right to throw your toys at the pram, blaming for the Scottish Cup, blaming for this, blaming for that as well. There's another 10 players in the team. A team is not about one player; it's about the whole team. What about the manager? What about Callum McGregor? What about other players as well? But I guess it's a bit unfair, Robbie, for supporters to single him out.
Aye, that is a belter of a comment for Alex, by the way. But you could literally go through the whole Celtic team. You could pinpoint, right? See if you take the back two, are usually the back two are Liam Scales and Austin Trusty. How many games could we go through and pinpoint where they've made mistakes leading to opposition goals? It's been a lot. You could go through times where McGregor's maybe no track back enough. You could go times where maybe players have went through and missed 1-on-1. You could sit and do that all day, but ultimately it's a team game. And the whole team has been at fault for why Celtic are doing bad this season, not just one player. And obviously there's been countless other things that have played into it. Wilfried Nancy has played a huge factor in that. There's been so many different things, but I don't see Kasper Schmeichel getting the sole blame. But I mean, guys, he's right. I know he's been funny about the Martin O'Neill comment, but yeah, he is right. The manager's got to take him out if he's making mistakes. That's a job, and I'm sure Sinisalo was probably living up to the way he is playing in games and training. There's no doubt that I don't think he was probably then bad in training, but you do feel there was a time where he was getting picked because the name. He was getting picked because it was Kasper Schmeichel, and that's the reason he kept getting in the team, because his experienced head, how he could do it in big games, and he's done it all throughout his footballing career. But now you're starting to see the sort of future with Sinisalo. I really like this goalkeeper. I think he's got pretty much everything that you need to be a Celtic goalie, and I think if you're a Celtic fan, you're probably a bit optimistic having him in your net, to be honest with you. You probably feel a bit comfortable with the saves he's already made. Not to mention, I think his distribution goes silent under the radar as well. I think he's quite good at that at times. So he's the full package for me for Celtic, and I think, as Ethan said, you put that behind you if you're Celtic now, you push on, because that's the last thing you need to worry about with what's left in the cards this season.
Yeah. No, actually, moving away from the goalkeeper talk, I thought I think Celtic, I see them as favourites for this match. I just think I thought Celtic were pretty good last week. They came up against a really well organised team on and off the ball, as we've seen all season, and you've seen that in the match. I thought Motherwell were really good in the game. They looked the better coach team on and off the ball, and obviously they took the lead as well. But I thought Celtic handled the game well. Of course, they get the sort of the rub of the green with the decisions. On another day, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain probably could have seen red. I think Longellow's unfortunate to get a red card, but it probably is the right decision. He's not really looking at the ball. He brings Maeda down. And yeah, at that point, when you get the red card and the penalty, you always expected Celtic to kick on from there, and they obviously did, but they took full advantage of it, and I thought it was a decent performance from them, and I think they'll carry that confidence into this game, that there seems to be less distractions at Celtic with the sort of Kasper Schmeichel situation and stuff like that. You've obviously got players coming back from injury as well. You've got Callum McGregor to come back, Arne Engels to come back, Alistair Johnston we spoke about obviously in the Canada squad as well. So yeah, things are starting to clear up, I think, for Celtic at the perfect time. And for United, I'm not very optimistic about them, especially in this game. I think they'll be pretty low after the last weekend's result, because they were the better team for 90 minutes, and at injury time they just lost their concentration and give up 2 cheap goals to let Dundee get a point from that match. I still think it'll be the 2 Dundee clubs battling for 7th place, but I expect Celtic to win at Tannadice. I don't think it'll be easy, but I think they'll get the job done. I would maybe go for a 2-0 win for Celtic, I think.
Robbie, football's a fun game because I was away for the weekend last weekend, and I was in the car listening to it, and it was 2-0 to Dundee United, and I think it was 4 minutes that I gig on, and by the time I got from the car to the house, into the house, I was listening to another radio station, and it was 2-each. I couldn't believe it.
I turned the game off at 2-0 to go and do some other things around the house, and I was like, all right, well, Dundee United have won the game, they're going to win the derby, pretty big momentum booster for them. And then I checked my phone and it's 2-each. I'm like, what's happened here? But it was a huge blunder. Don't get me wrong, Graham, we're probably one of the best headers you're ever going to see into your own net, but it wasn't great for Goodwin, and I love that comment for Corey, because you know my thoughts on Jim Goodwin, but I don't know. Honestly, right, being real, it is such a strange one with Dundee United. You know, that, let's be honest, in terms of the money that they've gave to back Jim Goodwin, the amount of players that Jim Goodwin's spent money on and brought into the club, they're really underachieving the way they should be, considering the finances that have been plunged into this season. They've not really done anything in the cup competitions either, so they'll probably feel a wee bit let down, Dundee United fans, and I think so, because you're in the swing there for one of the biggest results of the season in the derby for you, and then you go and chuck it like that, and it's not the first time Goodwin's dropped points or lost games like that. It's a bit stubborn, he's a very defensive minded coach, we know this. He likes to have his team set up well, but they just absolutely collapsed in this game, and it's not going to help them ahead of this one. I think Celtic will have their tails up now, they'll be ready to go. As Ethan said, every bad bit about Celtic seems to be getting chucked to the side right now. Everybody's focused on the one thing, the title running, and so they should be. I think the positiveness is coming back to Celtic Park slowly, gradually, and I think you'll see a big fan base getting the Celtic fan support tomorrow in a game where, of course, you don't need me to tell you what happened the last time Celtic went to Tannadice, albeit it was obviously different management, but that's how Dundee United would try and feed into this. They go, well, look, we've done it once at Tannadice, so why not again? But no, I don't see that happening. Not to spoil my prediction too early, to be honest, but I definitely think Celtic will be ready to go come Sunday morning.
Ethan, Jim Goodwin was speaking ahead of the game yesterday, said, I'm looking forward to this one. We are at home and we are ready for it. And Martin O'Neill says it will be a very difficult game up there, depending on the surface, because obviously, even though it's been a good season, and we haven't spoke about surfaces too much, but for one apparent reason, Dundee United's had a terrible surface this season.
Yeah, well, I think they have, and possibly down to the weather there at the start of the start of the year, but it seemed to cleared up. We've had some excellent days, certainly where I live the last few days. So I think the Scottish summer, or the attempt at a Scottish summer, is coming, hopefully, for the end of the season. Some nice weather for some nice football. But yeah, I don't think the surface will be too great at Tannadice on Sunday, and Celtic will need to obviously get around that to get the 3 points. And could United pick up something from this game? I think they certainly could. As I've said, I think every team in this league is could drop points in any given game, but I just think the momentum both teams will take from last weekend's results will give Celtic the psychological advantage, and I think Celtic will kick on now towards the end of the season. And like Robbie, if I had to pick between the three teams at the top, I think I just fancy Celtic at the minute, and I think they'll do enough to beat United. But I do think United will be battling alongside their neighbours for 7th place, which is probably all they can fight for. I think they have to win the last 3 games before the split, and Falkirk need to lose all of them, and they need to have a 10-goal difference swing to get top 6, so that's not going to happen. So yeah, 7th's the best United can go for. It's not been a terrible season for Dundee United, but it's not been a great season. It's just been a bang average season. You could say they've went backwards since last season. Obviously they're in Europe, but I think other teams have got stronger. I think Jim Goodwin will be under pressure to end the season well, because if he doesn't get some positive results, then I think he could be in trouble. But at the same time, I think he's possibly done enough to hold on to his job, although I think he will have to do better next season.
Score predictions in this one, Robbie?
I'm going to go for another tight game. I'm going to go Dundee United 1, Celtic 2.
Yeah, I think I went 2-0 to Celtic.
Yeah, 2-0. I'll go 3-0 to Celtic. I thought Ethan that Robbie was going to say Dundee United 2. Dundee United will win the game 2-1, and Jim Goodwin's going to come up at the back post and score a goal.
I don't like Jim Goodwin that much, Michael. I don't like him that game.
Then Jim Goodwin's going to celebrate in Robbie's face.
Yeah, exactly. And then go to McDonald's again as well. Other fast food restaurants are available. Okay, so let's talk about the game tomorrow night then at 6:15 kickoff. Ibrox, Robbie, Rangers against your old manager Stephen Robertson's Aberdeen.
You don't need to rub it in, Michael. We know you left. No, I'm only joking. No, it's a very, very big test for Stephen Robinson. Of course, we watched Rangers come to Paisley to take on these former sides at Murn at the weekend. Rangers managed to get the win. Probably by the skin of their teeth, to be honest with you, but it's results like that that give you a lift. It was what I was talking about earlier with Hearts. Rangers and Celtic have both found a way to come to Paisley and win this season through Callum McGill. 2 1-0s actually in both the games. Hearts obviously suffered a 1-0 loss, so Rangers and Celtic, they find a way to do it in these tough games, and it's not going to be much easier. I know that you sort of think about Ibrox and Celtic Park and go, right, well, you expect Rangers and Celtic to win majority of games there, but Aberdeen, they're maybe turning a wee corner. I didn't really expect them to pick up a result against Falkirk, to be honest. I thought they'd have a good bounce under Robinson, but it was still obviously a tough game with how well Falkirk have been playing, but they went out there and they're probably impressed, to be honest with you. For large chunks of the game, I thought Aberdeen played all right, and also Falkirk scored the late goal. So I think Robinson will take a lot of belief going to Ibrox that he can get something out of the game. Why not? He's already turned that corner at getting that first point on the board under Aberdeen, and he did that draw. To be honest with you, I think it would have been a really bad start if he suffered a loss at home. So he'll be optimistic he can go there, but he's facing a Rangers team that are finding ways to win games. Don't get me wrong, did they play well in Paisley? I don't think they did. Early piece, I don't think either team played well, to be honest. Rangers just found a way to win the game. I don't expect Robins to get the kind of space he did in Paisley against Aberdeen. I think Robinson knows how to structure his team quite well. I think he knows how to set a team up. especially going away to Ibrox. You know, we know his record with Sitman at Ibrox. He's won a couple of times. He's picked up some good results there. He knows how to frustrate Rangers. So it's going to be a pretty tough game for Rangers, I think. But you always look at Rangers and Celtic right now, and you're just backing them to somehow find a way to win games. And not to spoil my prediction, but I think they will ultimately. And it's so interesting because I always, for some reason, leaving Rangers out of this title fight. You know, I always sort of go all by Hearts or Celtic, but Rangers are not too far behind the pack, and I think they will still be in with a shout. So I think it is. I don't know what you three are chuckling about earlier, but I think it is. I think it is going to be a tough match for Rangers at Ibrox, but I do suspect they will just get the job done.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of not watching the Rangers game at St Mirren. As I
lucky you even.
I know. I had the pleasure of sitting in the room.
A really bad game of football. But I just rule Rangers out. I just don't think they have. From what I've seen recently, I just don't think they have enough to get over the line.
Prediction.
Yeah, no, I've said this for a few weeks now, and I just don't think Rangers have it in them. And if I had to pick between the three teams, I would put Rangers as third favourites. Could they still win the league? Of course they could. I think Rangers player for player have the best squad at the minute, but I just don't think it's clicking at the minute, especially in front of goal. I think they're making heavy weather of getting goals. They obviously did get the crucial goal through Romans. It was, in fact, at St Mirren Park, but I just don't think they'll have enough to win it over the course of these last 8 games. I do think they'll win at the weekend, though. I think they'll have too much for Aberdeen, but I think it'll be a similar story to poor sides. But if you had to ask me, do Aberdeen have a lot better chance of getting something with Stephen Robinson at the helm to Peter leaving? Of course they do, but I think Rangers will win, and I think they'll win by a couple of goals. I'll go 2-0 to the home side.
Yeah, can I just say, by the way...
2-0 to...
Sorry, Michael, if I can just come in there on what Ethan was saying about Rangers not having enough to win the league. I agree, I don't think they do right now. But for some people, and I'm looking at a certain Mr. Cameron in this, to even suggest to sack Danny Rowe was utterly ridiculous to me. The guy has came for a near impossible challenge. Ewan Cameron, of course. Who else? To even make the impossible to even give Rangers half a chance at this league title after being so many points clear behind and being in such a position where the Ibrox and the fans thought they had no chance in this title fight. They thought that was it. The season's done. We've got nothing to fight for here. And for Danny Rowe to come in and even give him half a chance, give him a bit of motivation, to me shows that I think he's capable for the job. But as Ethan said, I don't think there's enough in Rangers quality right now to do it. And I think that does stem in front of goal. And I personally still don't think Chamiti and Nadiri's enough for a front two to win Rangers the league. I don't think they're good enough, to be honest. So there's definitely things he's going to need to improve on in the summer. He's already spent quite a bit of money. But I think if he can get his signings right, I think he's already shown a glimpse of what he can maybe produce. You know, you look at Romans getting the goal. Romans looks like a great left back, by the way, for Rangers. You look at Nassar Giga and the player that he's made, him and Fernandez at the back. They look like two very comfortable centre-backs at Rangers. And then you sort of go further up the pitch, look what he revived to Mikey Moore. Remember, people were asking for Mikey Moore to get bombed at the Rangers squad under Russell Martin because his confidence looked that low. Danny Rose came in, turned that around. He's made Chamiti look like a decent goal scorer. So, you know...
The only thing I would say, Robbie, is I don't think he's really won a big massive match yet.
He's not. But... That's I take that point.
You can maybe argue the point. Sorry, Robbie. You can maybe argue the point that tell me a Rangers manager has won a big game.
Not been many since Gerrard, but you just have the feeling Danny Rowe can get something at these players. He's already shown it. You know, who actually would have voted Rangers into having a chance at this league after being 13 points behind? Because I certainly didn't. They were dropping points to almost everybody in the league. So the fact that he's come in and managed to distill a good mentality in the club is something that he'll need to take forward. And I think he has got a good chance of being able to been able to build something at Rangers.
Yeah, I'd agree, and I think he has maybe won a big game in the sense of beating Hearts at Ibrox, but we all know that the biggest games for Rangers and likewise for Celtic are against each other, and he's faced like Martin O'Neill 3 times and not come out on top in any of them. So
Yeah,
that would be a concern, and I understand that as a concern for Rangers fans.
and
But
obviously Rangers have still to go to Tynecastle where Danny Rowe lost his belief, and so
yeah, completely. I agree with both your point there, and Reagan and Robbie's as well.
And
That
Celtic Park.
yeah, Celtic Park as well. So, and I think what he has done is he's installed a better mentality at the football club, which can be progressed into next season. And I think he deserves the opportunity to lead the team into next season with another strong transfer window, which I think Rangers have had. Certainly financially wise, 2 strong windows. Whether they've been successful or not is another question. I think he deserves the opportunity, but there is things between now and the end of the season that he could do wrong to sort of rule his chances of having that opportunity. He still needs to have a solid end to the season. That's not saying I think he needs to win the league to keep his job. I know that a few Rangers fans will have that opinion, but from where he's taken the team to where they are now is obviously shows what he's done. But at the same time, I still think he's got a bit to go to be a really successful manager at Rangers. And of course, Rangers want to be winning league titles, and they're still very much in with a chance of that. The last few performances, especially the ones against Celtic, just don't give me much hope that they have it in them to grind out the results every week and to go to Tynecastle and get a win, to go to Celtic Park and get a win. So yeah, that's why I put Rangers as third favourites at the minute. But I still think Danny Rowe's done a solid job and deserves the opportunity to have a summer window with this club.
Yeah, and there's a couple of people, by the way, in this Rangers team that Rangers fans have been watching out since Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was in charge of Rangers. Let's not forget that we're still very much looking at an unfinished Danny Rowe team. This is only the beginning for Danny Rowe. He's still got a lot of players he needs to clear at the club. He's got a lot of players he needs to bring in, and only time will tell where he's going to be good. But to show this amount of character and to be able to instill this amount of mentality in a team that looked absolutely finished under Russell Martin, by the way, is impressive in its own.
I think it's impressive, Robbie. I do agree with that point, but I did see Rangers fans moaning yesterday the fact that Rangers have spent 50 million quid under this ownership as well. So they've spent quite a bit of money as well. So they probably need a bit of they're probably thinking, right, well, we've gave this guy 50 million over 2 transfer windows and he's still no done much. 2-0.
Well, no, it's only one. Really, only got January, so he's only had one transfer window, and it was a January one at that. So it's not really a place to make a squad.
I know the summer wasn't his window. I totally agree with that, but I'm talking about from an owner's point of view. They spent 25, near enough 50 million in the 2 windows, so they'll be expecting a bit of success. But I think as well, see, for Rangers' point of view, over the last few weeks of it, like that Celtic match and the Scottish, Rangers should have won that game every single day of the week. So Celtic were on their knees. Celtic were praying for penalties. Me and Ethan came on the show and we spoke about Celtic not creating one chance in the game.
Yeah, and who set the team up to dominate Celtic like that? Who got them 64% possession? Who gave them 20 odd shots? And let's be honest, that was the players' fault. That none of that game was on Danny Rowe, in my opinion. Maybe the changes could have been made quicker. I think that was some people's argument, but you cannot blame that on Danny.
But Robbie, sorry, Reagan, but you could blame the week before on Danny Rowe.
Oh, of course. You can blame the week before on Danny Rowe. I don't think you do blame it on Danny Rowe, but you cannot blame that cup tie on Danny Rowe. Any manager that sets his team out to get 60% possession on their rivals and only have one shot hit against them, that cannot be his fault.
But as I said, I think Rangers have the best. I think Rangers at the moment have the best players. I just think the mentality is not quite on the same level as Celtic's, and I think that's why Celtic will do the job over the course. But I think Danny Rose not been perfect since he's come in. I don't think anybody will get that mistaken, but he's done a really solid job with the card he was dealt, and I think he should have, as I said, I think he should have the opportunity. And the summer, barring there's a late season collapse, have that.
What about
silly games and stuff like that?
I've got a point on Rangers. Do you think Rangers will renew the contract of Solvolson, the Danish?
No.
I don't think we should. No.
Not a chance. I
think it's close to 12 million, is it? That they could be spending it. But I don't think they'll
What
spend
about,
that money.
let's move on to Aberdeen now, Ethan. What are you expecting from Aberdeen tomorrow night? Are you expecting any a different performance raising the game coming to Ibrox, or?
I don't know. I'm not expecting much from Aberdeen, to be honest. But I think they'll be, as Robbie said, I think Stephen Robinson will get them well organised and you'll get them set up with the best chance to take something from the match. But I just don't think they'll have enough. I think they're too disjointed as a squad. I think they have been the whole season. And I think they need a proper sort of clear out in the summer in Stephen Robinson to get the chance to bring in sort of his players to fit his style of play. And you know, the thing's going to be, is the Aberdeen fans going to be happy with that? I don't know. I think a lot of them sort of turned their nose up at the appointment already, but I think Aberdeen had to act quickly, and I think that's why after 3 months of not having a permanent manager, they went for Stephen Robinson, because there was genuine concern that Aberdeen, with the free fall that we're in, were going to possibly be in with a chance of being relegated. So I think that's why that Stephen Robinson's in, and now he's got the opportunity to, which I think he deserves, because although in the league it's been a really poor season for St Mirren, he's done some excellent things at that club, and he deserves the opportunity to go and sort of manage it. One of Scotland's, I would say, it is one of Scotland's biggest clubs. Some people would say so-called, with their recent success, and that's fair enough, because I think Aberdeen, and I say this all the time, should be doing more with how big of a club they are, and they'll be hoping that Stephen Robinson can bring that. But it's not going to be an instant fix. This season's going to be a slog until the end. Stephen Robinson just needs to make sure they stay in the division, and then he'll have the opportunity to really get to work on that squad, and hopefully for Aberdeen fans, make it a team that can be up in the upper echelons of the league next season.
Okay, let's do the prediction for the game tomorrow night. Ibrox Reagan, Rangers against Aberdeen.
I'm going to go Rangers 4, Aberdeen 1.
I went 2-0. I went 2-0 again. 2-0 to Rangers.
Talk about well organised, Regan. No, I'm going with the same scoreline as Ethan. That's what I've got it here. I'm going to go Rangers to Aberdeen now. No, I don't think Stephen Robinson's going to get a result at Ibrox, but fair play to him if he did. No, I'm going 2-0 as well.
So I will go 3-0 to Rangers tomorrow night. Okay, let's move on to the Falkirk again, Robbie's St Mirren. And before we get to the game today, there's there's whispers coming out of St Mirren that St Mirren is going to be interviewing, where we're talking about interviewing Charlie Agam and Neil Lennon for the job at St Mirren, Robbie.
Buzzing. No, I really cannot stress this enough. Charlie Adam cannot be the next St Mirren manager. We will go down if we appoint Charlie Adam as manager. I'm convinced we'll go down if we appoint him as manager. I want him nowhere near the club. And I can't believe he's even getting interviewed, I'll be honest with you. I'd absolutely bite your horn off on the other side for Neil Lennon, but I think he's a great manager. I think he'd distill a lot of mentality into the team. I think he knows how to win games in this league. And I love it. Are we conversation I had earlier, somebody was suggesting maybe Stephen Davis is in the running for the job, obviously former Rangers midfielder. I don't know if I'd take him if I get the right coaching team. It can maybe be an interesting appointment, but again, it falls into that inexperienced category with the likes of Stephen McGinn and all the rest of it. So,
Sorry, lads.
I don't suspect he is going to be banned, to be honest with you. But I definitely, Michael, we were talking about it earlier. I think Neil Lennon would be a very smart appointment for St Mirren. If we were to pick anybody, I think interviews have already started this week, and I suspect he'll still be going on probably after the game and more into Monday and Tuesday. We'll sort of find out probably for about Wednesday or Thursday who the next manager's going to be, because I think it's the right time to bring them in the international break, give them some time to settle in with the squad, put their ideas across before we obviously host Stephen Robinson's Aberdeen at the Smizer week for Saturday, so it'll be a pretty huge game. Interestingly enough, I was reading for John McGlynn and Falkirk that he wasn't surprised to see Stephen McGinn linked to St Mirren, which I agree. I for what I hear for Falkirk players and for what I've seen about the place, they all love working with Stephen. He's a very professional coach and he knows what he's doing. He's obviously coached the B team, so it wouldn't be the worst shout. I just fear he is a bit inexperienced, and also a few St Mirren fans have said this now. Definitely no Charlie McGrew either. A few St Mirren fans have said this now. Stephen McGinn, I just would hate to boo the guy. See, if things were going bad, I wouldn't have it in my heart to turn against him. He's that much a club legend, so I wouldn't want him in front of the firing line like that. But Stephen Davis doesn't have a great experience, but he was obviously in the coaching team that Barry Ferguson led with Rangers for a bit, so he's got some more experience than your likes of McGinn. That he's coached at was he in the coaching team? He was, wasn't he?
No, I don't think he was.
Was he not? I swear he's had some coaching experience.
He has. I think he did take interim charge for one of the Rangers periods of not having a manager. I'm pretty sure. Might have been after.
He was a Rangers caretaker. Yeah, 2023. He was a caretaker, but probably still not enough. But if you're asking me the new Michael compared to last week when I was on the show, I'd say Neil Lennon's probably my top pick.
Can I ask you about a few more names that I think before we came on air? Tony Docherty or Cam Davison?
Yeah, both obviously been in job. I think, I don't know, I think they're appointments that would no really have the fans get behind them. I think both of what happened recently probably would suggest otherwise, appoint them, to be honest with you, but they're certainly more experienced than the rest of the candidates are in with a shout. I did see Gary Naismith going about the Stenhousemuir, and I agree that he has done a fantastic job, but is he ready for that step up with the Premiership? That's the problem with all these managers. You know, you're looking at your Scott Browns, you're looking at Mark Wilson, you're looking at Stephen McGinn. Are any of them ready for the Premiership? I think I'd be more inclined to say Mark Wilson, to be honest with you. And I know Reagan won't like me for saying that, but I do think he would be all right with the right coaching team. And so it's such an interesting one. What about you guys for the outside? Even if I was to ask you, who are you sort of thinking could be a good fit?
I think, like you, I think Neil Lennon would be an absolutely excellent appointment for St Mirren. I think his managerial credentials became, I would say, a little bit of a, you could say, maybe not a laughing stock, but yeah, okay, maybe a laughing stock a few seasons ago, but he's worked his way back up. He's done an excellent job since going out to Dunfermline. Obviously, he's had an excellent season with them, getting them to the Scottish Cup semi-finals, taking out two massive clubs and Premiership clubs in the process. And I think he deserves the opportunity to get a Premiership job again. And I think St Mirren would be a really good fit for him. I really do. So I think he would be the number one candidate. But the question is, like Stephen Robinson was in the same scenario, does he go to a bigger club to leave behind the opportunity to create history at the one he's at with the opportunity of a Scottish Cup semi-final? So yeah, that's it. And but I think St Mirren they would be probably trying to get someone in before the end of the season, because I just don't have a lot of confidence in St Mirren at all.
We're the worst team based on form in the last 5 games, second worst in the last 10. So whoever comes in's got some job to try and overturn the sort of morale in the club, and it doesn't get much easier. You know, they're going to come into Aberdeen's in a double header against Celtic, so it's possibly the hardest start I can ask for.
Well, I seen your TikTok. I think it was, and you said you fancied Robbie Nielsen maybe taking the job.
Yeah, I'd take Robbie Nielsen. Obviously coaching, as I said, in Belgium right now. That's probably the only worry. Try to get my way for there, getting back into here, but I'd definitely take Robbie. I don't think he'd done a bad job with Hearts, and I'd really the same with Stephen Naismith as well, who's obviously in the Scotland coaching team. I'd take him as manager as well. I don't think he'd have done a particularly bad job at Hearts. I think they had that moments towards the end where you could see maybe it wasn't working, but I definitely would consider both of them.
I always remember Stephen Naismith because he beat Celtic when Santa Claus was Santa Claus was at Celtic Park, and he got Santa Claus get booed at half
You
time.
got good, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
What about the game tomorrow, Robbie? What are you expecting? Obviously, it's a difficult venue to go to, the Falkirk game.
Very difficult, Michael. And the last win was actually our last away win in the league was 27 weeks ago at the Falkirk Stadium where we beat Falkirk 2-1. So it's been a long 27 weeks since then. But look, Craig McLeish, I heard him talking earlier about, sort of he wouldn't mind being the permanent manager, and I don't think he's ready for that. But for what I hear, that he's enjoying it and he thinks he is. So whether he is or no, I don't know. Whether he gets it or no, I don't know. But I'm sure he'll have the boys well coached. I think it'll be a different game to Rangers. I don't imagine we'll play that poor again. Although team selection's baffling, there's so many different players that are out right now. Jayden Richardson, I think Declan John's out. You've got Mika Mandron, Keanu Bacchus is missing the game. Marcus Fraser's of course out for the rest of the season. There's so many that are injured or suspended right now that it's kind of worrying to even think about what the team lineup's going to be. But you've got to have confidence in any game you go into. Am I particularly confident? No, but the last time we won an away game was at Falkirk, so why not go and do it again? And I think it is a slightly different Falkirk, mind you, but we need to start picking up points for somewhere, and you've got to argue with our next 3 games coming up, Aberdeen, Celtic twice. It's probably not looking likely we're going to get wins in either of their games, so it's, you've got to pick up the results somewhere. And hopefully it is going to be tomorrow, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, and being very honest on this show, I'm no very hopeful, to be honest with you. I think my prediction will probably show that.
Yeah, I've not got much hope for St Mirren in this one. I see Falkirk as big favourites for this game, and I think John McGunn's team will have too much for the travelling Saints, and I think they'll take advantage of a result in another game, which may increase Falkirk's chances of 5th place. So I'll give my prediction now. I'm going to go for Falkirk 4, St Mirren 1.
Oh.
Sorry, Robbie.
Oh man, that is a bit of a battering, to be fair. I mean, I don't blame you. I can't see anything else as it stands now, to be honest with you. I'm trying to remain as optimistic as possible, but I really just don't have faith in the morale of the players, and it's been like that in the league all season for game week 1. I've not seen that belief yet, and I don't think we're going to tomorrow, to be honest with you. So I hope, for the sake of it probably being Craig McLeish's last game, that the players maybe step up to the plate, but right now I just can't see it, to be honest with you.
There you go, Reagan, you're muted. That's the best case.
No, sorry, Robbie. I was just saying, see this kind of manager saying that he wants the job. What has he actually done to warrant the job?
Nothing, but he's had a good track record with the under-19s as far as I'm aware, though I've barely watched them over the last couple of years. The last time I actually watched them was when we were coached by Stephen McGinn. They actually played very well under him, but Craig McLeish has done nothing to warrant it, to be honest with you. But he's very confident in himself, and I like that. And look, that isn't me saying I want him to get the job. I don't. He wouldn't be up there for me. He's still going to stick in around the club, by the way, when the next manager does come in, because a lot of people at the club rate him as a coach and think he could be a future manager. But definitely not right now, Reagan.
Even though I thought the game was pretty boring last week, Robbie, do you think he sort of put his own stamp in the team? Do you think he played any sort of different? The players played definitely under him than they did under Stephen Robinson.
It was surprising to see Killian Phillips and Darren Lunderlow up front next to each other. That was a bit of a different one, and I definitely think at different points he maybe done stuff that Robinson wouldn't have done in games. But that's what managers need to do. If you're stepping up to the plate, you need to put your own ideas on things. I think we were far too slow at points. I think we were far too passive. Didn't create enough against Rangers. So hopefully we can turn that around tomorrow against Falkirk and actually try and create some problems for them, because as much, guys, and I will give John McGlynn so much credit, and he probably should be up there for manager of the season. He's you know, they're no unbeatable. They're no any team's beatable in this league. Anybody can beat anybody. But you know that way, Kilmarnock just went to Falkirk almost 5-1. I'm getting the proper feel that that's going to happen to us tomorrow as well.
Oh,
What's your prediction, guys, for this game? I'll come to Robbie last. Reagan?
as much as I'd like to see St Mirren win the game, just so that Robbie's not getting 27 weeks to get see his side win. But
What, next season?
I just think that Falkirk will be too strong. I think it'll be 2-0 to Falkirk.
I said mine
Ethan?
already. Yeah, I said mine already. 4-1 to the home side, and I think St Mirren are, unfortunately for Robbie, my favourites for that 11th place at the minute.
Well, I think because Ethan, I think because Robbie's questions aren't up to my usual standard tonight of very easy.
What did you hear the questions? Can I get the questions again? I didn't hear them.
We've got one more, Reagan, for later.
Oh, good. I'm sorry I missed that. Oh.
Reagan probably would have got the second one.
Should we quickly test them?
3-1 to Falkirk. But yeah, there you go, Robbie. Yeah, on you go.
Class. No, you know, I'm genuinely very unbiased on this show. I'm not going to go a Falkirk 2-1 win. I don't see any way in which someone win this game, to be honest with you.
Okay. One more question from Robbie for this season.
Is that me banned after my further show? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly test Reagan on one of them that I gave earlier. So Reagan, this player started his career in 2010 at Partick Thistle, where he spent 15 years at the club, making 349 appearances.
2010.
Yep, made 15 years, 349 appearances, scoring 16 goals in 15 years.
I think I might know it, but have you got one more clue?
I did. So he went on loan in 2010 for a year to United, where he made 17 appearances. But in 2025, he transferred to United after leaving Thistle, where he currently plays with the club, making 21 appearances,
I know
scoring
who
0
that is, yep. It was the guy I was going to see right away. Stuart Bannigan.
Well done, it is Stuart Bannigan. See, guys, he knows his stuff.
It's not probably so I kind of let them down.
Right, last one for the show. This player. I didn't even realise this is where he started his career. I'm going to get some questions and comments.
Is this the last question for the season, Robbie? Did you say
No, Michael. There's some there.
Okay.
I'm going to get some really bad comments, right? Because this player started his career in 2006, where he spent 5 years at Greenock Morton, making 65 appearances and scoring 10 goals.
Robbie, I'm going to say this
by the way,
again.
I didn't know he played.
Morton?
I didn't know he played with this lot.
You spent 10 years at Morton?
No, 5. 2006 to 2011 at Morton. 65 appearances, 10 goals.
Don't have a Scooby.
Okay. No.
No, next club. Right.
Club,
and that he had one loan spell at East Stirlingshire, but obviously he's not going to get it after that. In 2011, he moved to Raith Rovers, where he spent 2 years at the club, making 58 appearances, scoring 29 goals.
Oh. I've not got a clue. Robbie Morton and then East Stirlingshire, the guys did a terrible career. Sorry, mate. But
To Raith Rovers in 2011.
And that
next
will be
club.
Robbie's last question on the show. Thanks for all your hard work over the 10 years, Robbie. Your P45 is on email.
Do you want the next club?
Yes.
No,
okay.
it's okay.
The point is, you're no meant to get them early on, to be fair. There might be difficult early, but in 2013, he moved to Dundee United, where he spent 2 years at the Tangerines, making 31 appearances and scoring 6 goals.
what's the better chance?
No, I'm still not getting it.
No, I'm out. No, I'm out.
Robbie Muirhead? No.
What?
Robbie Muirhead?
No, it's not Robbie Muirhead. And good evening to Ian, who's in the chat as well. Thank you for
played
watching.
with Morton and
Hello, Ian.
Within that, by the way, had a 1 year loan spell at St Johnstone, where he made 24 appearances, scoring 9 goals.
What year was that?
Right.
What was that?
I think I know who it is. No, I don't know. Is it Craig Conway?
No, it's not Craig Conway. Good guess, but no. So even that was in
Michael
20.
O'Halloran. I don't know.
It's no Michael Halloran. So that was while I was at Dundee United, and so aye. So the
He
next
never,
club,
he never mentioned Rangers, Ethan.
Yeah, he's not signed for Rangers yet. No, it's too early for O'Halloran anyway.
No, he played for Rangers.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have said Rangers yet. I don't think. 'Cause
Yeah,
Rangers,
yeah, okay.
what year did he join Rangers? 17 or something.
Well before locked yeah, something like that, yeah. I can't even remember who the manager was, but anyway. Is that Lancy, Robbie? I'm
no,
making it up.
it's
Okay.
no Sibbald, no. So in 2015, he moved to Ross County, where he spent a year at the Highland Club, making 24 appearances, scoring 6 goals.
Oh,
It's a decent return. That 1 goal
I think I know
every
who it is.
4
Is
games.
it Michael Gardine?
It's no Michael Gardine.
Oh,
Ross
By the
County and
post.
Dundee United.
He was at Ross County for longer than that, I think, wasn't he?
Next club,
Yep.
right?
And-
In 2016, he moved to Hibs, where he spent 1 year at the club, making 28 appearances, scoring 4
Bit
goals.
of a journeyman, this guy.
He is.
Hibs.
The best club still yet. Well, the most appearances at a club still yet to come.
Hibs United, St Johnstone, Ross County.
He's 5, did you say?
Yeah, no, he's Stirlingshire.
He's
earlier.
Stirling.
Do you want the next club?
Yeah, next club.
Right, in 2017, he made a stint away for Scotland. They went down to Cheltenham Town, where he spent a year at the club, making 27 appearances, scoring 5 goals. I don't think you're going to get it after that, but I can move on to the next club.
Yeah.
In 2018, he moved back up north. He went to Ross County again, where he spent 2 years at the club, making 40 appearances and scoring 12
Is
goals.
that Ian Vigurs?
It's no Ian Vigurs, no. The next
What
club,
year did he go back to Ross County?
2018, where he spent 2 years at the club. The next one's probably the biggest clue.
Right.
So in 2020, he moved to Partick Thistle, where he spent 5 years at the club, making 155 appearances and scoring 75 goals for the Jags.
Oh,
It's no Brian Graham.
It is Brian Graham. Regan, well done.
well done, Regan.
Well done,
No,
Regan.
good shout.
Well done, Regan.
Oh,
We
see,
should have got that.
Brian
Should have
Graham.
got that.
My
I got the-
Bangren.
I got the Stuart Bannigan one right away, though.
Aye.
That one was probably quite easy for you though, because it was
It's because I
one
met
club
him last week. So
or 2 clubs.
There you go. Yeah, I enjoyed that, Robbie. Well done. Thanks for that. Yeah. Let's move on to the next game. Let's move on to talk about Kilmarnock and Livingston on the old Classical derby, Ethan, and it was some performance from Kilmarnock last week.
Yeah, it was. They were excellent and thoroughly deserving of their 3 points against Hearts. Massive result for Neil McCann's side, and I think he's done a really positive job since coming in, and just installed, I think, a lot more hope in the fans that they can survive this season, and I think they will. As I said, I think St Mirren are my favourites for that second bottom spot at the minute, and I think Kilmarnock will have too much for Livingston. I think Marvin Bartley's and like Neil McCann, he's instilled a belief and a fighting mentality in the players, and I don't think they've made any game since he's come in, unless I'm mistaken, easy for their opponents. So I wouldn't be surprised if Livingston were to take something from this game, but I think Kilmarnock at home will have just too much for them. But two teams that are looking a lot more positive recently, and I think the managers have really given themselves a platform to be the leaders at their teams for the rest of the season, of course. And then I'd imagine they too will be in each dugout at the start of next season, whatever league they might be in.
What do you make of this game tomorrow, Robbie?
I think it's going to be a very tight game. I'm actually impressed with the work that Marvin Bartley's done to Livingston, because under Martindale, I thought they were completely written off, to be honest with you. I thought they'd get hammered every game, and that would be them. But Marvin Bartley's turned the confidence around a bit. Do I think it's going to turn the form around? Do I think they're going to stay up? I don't. I think they're already done. I think if they lose at the weekend, that probably just confirms that, to be honest. But I think you'll slowly see Livingston start to make games a lot tighter. We've already seen it when they went to Hibs and picked up a pretty impressive 0-0 draw, by the way. And I just think they will keep picking away. I don't think it'll be enough, right enough, as Ethan said. But Kilmarnock under Neil McCann has done a brilliant job so far with him. And I agree.
I know I tend to talk rubbish, right? But, like, see the end of the...
No, rubbish, that's the questions.
This is ridiculous for you, Michael, tonight.
I know. It's been like that all season, mate. It's okay.
No, I just wanted to ask you, Robbie, see in terms of you said about Marvin Bartley installed a kind of self-belief into the squad that David Martindale didn't he? Do you think that David Martindale was possibly holding them back then? Because Marvin Bartley was still there when David Martindale was the manager, so do you think it was the fact that maybe Marvin Bartley was kind of not wanting to affect it because he was only the assistant manager? Or
I think David Martindale knew how to motivate a team. I think we've seen that. Obviously, you had the very, very famous voice note that was getting buckled with that very famous half-time rant for Martindale. I think he knew how to get his players up for games. Tactics-wise, I think we were all very underwhelmed by the way he set his team up in the Premiership compared to the Championship. They were very free-flowing in the Championship. They were going at teams. They were making it exciting to watch. In the Premiership, of course, understandably, it's a tougher league. But you've seen what happens when you do go at teams. Look at Falkirk and look at the season they're having because they're not scared of playing anybody. Livingston have that fear about them that they just don't want to push out. And I think Martindale distilled some of that in the tactics. I think Marvin Bartley's been a bit more braver, to be honest with you. And at this point, what's he go to lose? You know, if it works out and he does well for the rest of the season, they're going to give him a bash in the Championship, aren't they? So it's not the worst thing in the world. If he gets sacked, they'll probably just put David Martindale back in that place, to be honest with you, until they get another manager. But just on Ian's thing, by the way, it was John Jules that got injured. But I can't, and I agree with Ethan, I can't see Livingston going away to Kilmarnock and Livingston going away to Kilmarnock and win the game. The Mora, to be honest, I think it's too valuable, and I think Kilmarnock are too good to be where they are right now. And I say that as a St Mirren fan, that I think we will also finish 11th, Ethan. And I think the managerial appointment does depend heavily on that, considering we'll play both sides at home. But right now, I cannot see any manager coming in and making us finish above Kilmarnock. They're just too good. And then you look above us and you're looking at Dundee and Dundee United, and they probably won't finish above them either, to be honest with you. If anybody wants an ice cream if it's outside, by the way, just give a bell.
So what's your prediction on this one, Reagan? Kilmarnock against Livingston?
I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the home team. 2-1.
I'm going to copy Reagan. 2-1. Yeah, I'm going the same as Reagan, 2-1.
Robster?
So I'm just back for picking up a Canelo. No, I'm going to go 1-0 to Kilmarnock. I think they take it. And I think by Saturday night, St Mirren are sitting in 11th, which absolutely kills me to say.
By the way, there's a lot of jokes I can make about a nice clean van. So I'll move it on. I'm desperate to mention this kind of joke, but I just
Michael, that's for the night. That's for the nighttime show. You're on, sure.
Yeah, it's for
the show starts about the back of 9.
That's another show that I do on YouTube, by the way. If you want to join in later. So I will go 2-1 to the Kilmarnock on this one. Ethan has got the team news at Fairhill. We'll get to it very soon. And Gig, let's have a look at one more game before we jump on to the Championship. In Motherwell against Hibs, Ethan.
Yeah, big game for both teams, and I think it's obviously Motherwell have dropped out of the title race. Now I think we could say what are we laughing at?
Jamie, I don't even like cornetos, mate.
Oh,
First ice cream that popped into my head.
Yeah, I did think that was a wee bit strange. For
No,
Robbie.
I genuinely hate cornetos. I've never had one. I've not had one in years, but that's enough ice cream talk, man. God.
Yeah, yeah, I was
melted
just-
away. It's fine.
Oh no!
Oh.
Oh, no!
No.
Yeah,
I was just saying. I was just saying that I think Motherwell have obviously dropped out of the title race, but I think that just relieves a little bit of pressure on them, and I think they'll get back to playing the football like they have been all season. And even even though they did lose at Celtic Park, I still thought they put in a really solid performance. They had some big chances, and some refereeing decisions didn't go their way. I think the refereeing decisions were probably right, certainly for the penalty. Maybe you could have argued that Oxlade-Chamberlain should have got his marching orders, as I said earlier. But yeah, I think Motherwell will bounce back, and I think they'll have too much for David Gray's Hibs team. I think there's been a lot of questions on whether David Gray should get the opportunity to take Hibs into next season. I think he should, because I think they've still had a solid season. But I think they just need to be a little bit more, what could I say? I think they just need to bring it together as a team a lot more often. I think that's the problem Hibs have had and why they're not too consistent. I think they've got some great individual players, but I think being a great team consistently is where they've struggled, and I think we'll see that at the weekend. I think at home, Motherwell are an even better team than they are away from home. I know that's usually cliche and is the case for most teams, but Motherwell's defensive record at home this season has been ridiculous. Only 6 goals conceded in the league. I think they will keep a clean sheet, and I think they'll put 3 past David Gray's team. So bold from me, but if I'm going for a win for Motherwell, I think they'll bounce back from 2 disappointing weekends and fashion and really stamp down their authority on that 4th place. Because if Hibs were to get a result, that being a win, of course, then they could really put pressure on the Steelmen for 4th place. But I think in actual fact, by the end of the weekend, it'll be Falkirk closing the gap on the Highbees for 5th.
There you go. What's your prediction of the game, Robin Reagan?
Yeah, can I
I
just say
think
before prediction?
I think I'll go 2-2.
Oh, that would draw. Before I go into put it out, I want to just bring this comment up for Corey earlier. Elijah Just is the best player in Scotland, and I truly believe that. This boy is exceptional to watch. I love watching him every single game. Honestly, he's one of a kind. That now in football, you don't get many players that will dribble past people and take people on like he does. And I think Motherwell and Scotland.
Is he just magnificent?
Nah, there's Ian cracking on with the jokes as well. Some amount of jokes going on here tonight. But no, he's amazing, and I struggle to believe that he'll still be in Scotland come the end of this season. He's far too good for this division.
He'll be at Celtic next year with
no, he's too good for Celtic. I'm telling you now, he's too good for Celtic. I think Jens will be the next Celtic manager, by the way. I do agree with that, but I don't think Just will still be in Scotland come the end of the season.
I agree with Reagan. Sorry, Robbie. I think he will be at Celtic.
I think if Celtic want to go for them, then I'm sure if there was no competition, they probably could get him. But he shouldn't be playing in Scotland. They should be playing in the English, the top English leagues. In my opinion, he's fantastic. He's phenomenal. Oh, absolutely phenomenal to watch. For my prediction, I'm going to go a clean sheet to Motherwell as well, Ethan. I'm going to go 2-0 to Motherwell in this game.
I like a wee clean sheet.
2-0 to the Well, and I will go 3-1 to Motherwell.
Oh, a rare goal conceded at home. Well, Reagan went 2 goals conceded at home.
Yeah,
I'd be like 30% of their goals for the season conceded at home if they were to concede 2. But things have got to change. It's been a crazy season, so Hibs could maybe turn up because they do turn up on occasion. I just don't think they're consistent enough.
Listen, I just like watching good football players, mate. There's nothing more to
it.
I agree with you though, Robbie. I think Elijah Just's been excellent this season, and back in I done that sort of mid-season team of the season, and I actually had him in my team over to Wanda Maswanisi, which was a little bit So maybe controversial because of the goals Mass when he says scored. But yeah, I think Just has been excellent and deserves all the praise he's got. I do think he'll be at Celtic along with his current manager next season.
Before we get on to the championship game, well, we'll all move on to the championship games now. Big game tonight at Firhill. Reagan's my packet Thistle against Johnson. Before we dive into the games, Reagan, not Reagan, Ethan has got the team news for tonight at the game at Firhill between Packet Thistle and St Johnson.
Yes, I think Partick Thistle have made one change to their starting 11. It's Macbeth coming into the starting 11. There's no O'Reilly, Smith, Taylor, Mackay, Chalmers or Watt tonight, so a lot of key players missing. The starting 11 is Clark, Redding, Ashcroft, Samuel, Crawford, Macbeth, Fitzpatrick, Lowry, McPherson, Stanley and Letsosa. And then for the visiting legal leaders, let me just get them up. Here we go, I've got them here. It's Stewart in goals, Diabate, Boys, Holt, Gullen, Stanton, Baird, Payton, McPake, Smith, and Macalea. So yeah, there's the lineups for a massive game. Championship.
Before we talk all things Packet Thistle, I spoke to Alistair about the St Johnson point of view about the game tonight, and this is what he had to say yesterday. Alistair Blair talking about St Johnson tonight against Packet Thistle. Okay, so we're talking ahead of the Packet Thistle St Johnson game in the league tonight. Before we get on to the game, Alistair, what do you think of St Johnson's season overall?
Well, so far you can't complain. You know, we started, dare I say it, Thistle fans with quite a good win over Thistle, slightly unexpected on the day, but very happy to have it. And we've been top of the table ever since. So, you know, you can't complain about that. Doubtless there will be some people. There are some people, obviously, occasionally on the fans banter pages and things like that who will complain. But from my perspective, yeah, couldn't really be any better.
What do you think of the job that the manager is doing at the moment? He's doing a brilliant job at St Johnson.
I think he obviously we got relegated last year, and the new owner Aaron Webb stuck with him, which I think most fans are more than happy with. Again, for the reasons I've just given, because obviously he's doing a good job because we're top of the table. He is very popular with the fans. He gets out and about in Perth. He socialises. That helps as well. Now that kind of manager doesn't necessarily, result in success, but the fact is that he's got the success plus the camaraderie and the relationship with the fans, I think, helps as well. He's very good with the media. I think he's pretty honest. He doesn't criticise referees very, very rarely, which I think is a good thing. And he's not daft. He's got us a team to get out of the Championship. It's not a team which most Saints fans think would survive in the Premier for very long. There are players there who obviously are Championship level players, but they're good Championship level players, and that's why we are where we are. And there are certainly one or two who could absolutely do it in the Premier. But this is a two-stage process in my view. It's get promotion, hopefully, and then on the back of that, rebuild again, because otherwise you're just going to be doing what Livingston have done, going up and coming back down again.
Do you think you'll keep him? Because obviously it's a football's this is a hypothetical question, but obviously I think if he came in maybe early on October, I think St Johnson would have been safe. But in terms of like if St Johnson come up this season, and it's a big if at the moment, do you think that like the board will stick by him?
The board will, certainly the owners absolutely will. What will make a difference is whether in fact there's obviously been managerial changes. We've just seen Robinson go to Aberdeen, and you wonder whether Valakari was included in the conversations there. I think there's only one club you might go to, and it's a fairly obvious one because it's the club he played for, I think there's a good chance that Motherwell will lose their manager because clearly he's done a brilliant job. So the other clubs looking to take him, and that would leave a vacancy at Motherwell, which you wonder if Valakari, with his history there, might be persuaded to go there. The fact of the matter is, money talks. You know, Stephen Robinson went to Aberdeen, I'm sure, because A, it's a bigger club with respect to St Mirren, but also he'll be given quite a reasonable hike in salary. So, you know, if somebody offers to double your salary, are you going to stay? Probably not, so long as the rest of the conditions are right. So, yeah, it's not a major concern, but it's a slight concern.
Okay, let's move on to talk about the game tonight then. Obviously, we're recording it on Thursday, the day before the game. You're going to Firhill. It should be a good game. Should be a full house. I don't know if Johnson has sold out the allocation for this game, but I know Thistle will take a noisy support to the game, and I suppose that Johnson will take a noisy backing for Perth as well. So, what are you expecting from the game?
Well, just to go back to your point about the crowd, Michael, the last game at Firhill, we had obviously you get the old stand at Firhill, it was pretty full. I know that Thistle, the Jags Foundation, have been out punting. I think there's free tickets, I think, if you bring a friend type of thing. So they're clearly looking to try and get as big a crowd as possible, which makes admirable sense from their perspective. We also know they're unbeaten at home. Nobody has actually won at Firhill this season. So it takes a lot to do that. Now, the last game there, we were 2 down and we came back and we possibly could have sneaked a draw. We shouldn't have lost them the other game at McDermott, the most recent one, when they got the penalty in the last seconds. That just shouldn't have happened. The defenders on several occasions should have cleared it. So these are all what ifs and buts and all that kind of stuff. How do I think the game will go? If somebody scores early, either side scores early, then you've got a different scenario. I think the other team will have to go for it. Because for Thistle, this is a must-win. For St Johnstone, it's probably a must-not-lose. That's the way I would put it. Because 8 points clear, game in hand. So let's say they win their game in hand, 5 points clear. Let's say they win 2 points clear. There's still, breathing space. Plus the goal difference is miles superior to anybody else's. So you're looking at it in terms of Thistle have got to win. We've got to not lose. A lot will depend also on Thistle's injuries. They've also got players out. What went off as a precaution as far as we could see against Morton. We don't know what the state of his hamstring is, because I think that's what they said it was. So I don't know. I think the answer to your question, how will it go? I mean, it could be, I think it'll be nervy, particularly if the score stays 0-0. And then I think, like all football matches, it will be decided probably by some piece of brilliance or more likely by a mistake. Because the last game, their second goal was actually an own goal. And it was just one of these ones that ricocheted off Sidibé and it was in the net before you could blink. So those are the kind of things that make the difference. The weather forecast is good, so it should be good night. Big crowd on the TV. I'm pretty sure Saints will have sold almost every ticket they can because everyone knows how important this is. And I think you look at it and then say, right, okay, if we can win, then I think it's probably most Thistle fans would agree that's it over. If we lose, then they've got everything to play for. So it will be a fascinating night and one which I am slightly not looking forward to, if you know what I mean, because it will be really nervous, particularly, as I said, if it stays 0-0 for a long time.
We always talk about Scottish football being on up in terms of teams of Celtic, Rangers, Hearts. I would maybe put Falkirk into it as well, but the championships have got their own stories as well in terms of St Johnstone and Partick Thistle, Glenfermon reaching the semi-final. They beat Aberdeen and Hibs along the way. So Scottish football's in a good place at the moment.
Yes and no. In my view, it's in a good place because there's a lot of competition, which is a really good thing. That is obviously what gets people coming along. I would disagree to some extent because I think what you're actually seeing is a lowering of standards, and that's what's creating the competition. I think most objective observers would say that Scottish football is not that good. I mean, within my lifetime, if you go back to when Rangers were bringing along Butcher and people like that, and there was Larson at Celtic and those kind of level of players, and then you look at the players that Saints had at that time, they had some fabulous players as well, because we were competing at the top part of the table in those days. So the standard overall, I think, has gone down, but the competition has gone up paradoxically, partly as a result of that. Celtic and Rangers are not as good. Hearts have improved, therefore there's competition. Falkirk, a brilliant story. I mean, I would have McGlynn Manager of the Year without a shadow of a doubt. We all know that's not the way it works. It will be Celtic or Rangers, probably, depending on how they do. But I think overall, yeah, very exciting. And just to go back to the point about the championship, there's teams there. Dunfermline are I think, will win the championship next year if they stay where they are, with the players they've got. Airdrie, despite their low position, play good football but can't score. So there's a lot of good teams there. I mean, Morton nearly sneaked a draw with 10 against Thistle. So it's I know it's a cliche, there's no easy games. Sometimes there are games that actually are easier than they look. We played Ross County the other weekend and they were poor. They really were poor, But we played Airdrie, as I say, and Airdrie always play good football. Dunfermline, we've got to play away, we've got to go to Arbroath. Those are hard games. Arbroath aren't third for by luck. Arbroath are a good team, particularly on their own pitch.
Okay, that was Alistair talking to us yesterday about the game, and I suppose let's come to Regan ahead of the game, because I know he's a half and half fan these days as well. Packet, Thistle, Queen's Park, Celtic, Edinburgh Elves, the Kirkmanson, Maryhill, the junior team, whatever. What do you think of Thistle going into the game tonight, Regan? Well, obviously Regan doesn't think.
I think it'll be very difficult, Michael. I think Partick Thistle are a good team, but like you guys were saying earlier, and so was Ethan when he read out the team lineups. I think that the squad's now down to the bare bones. I think Tony Watt's now out for 6 to 8 weeks. So yeah, it's quite hard to see how Partick Thistle will win this match for me.
Wait, who's it for injury?
Tony Watt, Ocean Smith, and Chalmers.
Oh, the Sox couldn't take much effect then.
They're all out for they're all out for the rest of the season, Robbie.
That's a shame, man. About Ocean Smith, I did say that was about 8 weeks, but I hope Tony does some upgrading to the sports Sox themselves, because they probably need them for next season.
Yeah, I see. Maybe we could get a little sponsor for Sports Essentials. You never know.
Well, they're not that effective, are they? It's got them injured for the rest of the season.
I know, but
No, I'm only kidding. Tony, if you want to sponsor us, feel free. No, it probably wasn't. So he's got some poor legs these days, mate. He's getting old.
Ethan, I mean, obviously we spoke about the games in the Premiership this weekend, right? But I think this is the game of the weekend for me.
Yeah, I think it is. It feels like a real cliche to say, but it feels like a real title race 6-pointer. And
it's a slobber knocker.
I remember saying to Megan saying that he thought Partick Thistle were out of the fight a few weeks ago, and I said that if they had won against Greenock Morton, had beaten St Johnstone, and then won the game in hand, which I believe is
I know you did, Ethan.
Then they would only be 2 points behind and they'd still be in it. But as Regan said, some big injury blows for Partick Thistle tonight, which is going to make it difficult. As Alistair was saying, I don't think St Johnstone really need to win this match as well, which obviously plays into their favour. And I think Partick Thistle do need to win it. So we'll obviously see how the game will play out. But yeah, I think this is the highlight match of the weekend, and I think we'll have learned a lot after the 90 minutes as to where the the Scottish Championship title may be heading, whether that be Partick or Perth.
And then
Under
you don't
the
know
light,
Michael, because my Queen's Park, they're playing St Johnstone next week, so I mean Queen's Park could take away 3 points off them.
You're just
Yeah.
supporting every team in the Scottish Championship apart from St Johnstone. That's right.
It's really, I mean, if it's really like when we do predictions of the start of the season, Robbie, Reagan predicted all the teams in the championship to win the title as well. But, you know, I was trying to say to Reagan, no, it's one team, but no, he was adamant that all the teams were going to win the league as well. But there you go. What's your prediction for the game tonight, Robbie?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I'm actually excited to watch it, and I think Alistair obviously spoke very well about St Johnstone's season and the sort of game tonight. I think he's right; it will be a very nervy affair. And I think the more I think about it, you know, Wilson's doing a fantastic job. You know, whether
Robbie, is that a guy you would take at St Mirren?
yeah, as a guy, I would take us. I'd take Seymour and I'd take Mark for Partick Thistle as well. I'd take either, to be honest with you. I think both have got it. I think Mark's obviously a bit less experienced at the Premiership level. Of course, Seymour came into St Johnstone in the Premiership and had a bit, but I'd equally take Wilson as well. I don't think we'll be able to get Seymour. I do agree with Alistair, and I think Seymour maybe look a bit higher, either up our league or maybe move on to a different league. I don't know. But I think teams will definitely be looking at that structure. They're playing attractive football now and playing, you know, some really nice stuff, and maybe want to take a punt on them because it seems to be the new trend going about Scottish football right now. But no, in terms of predictions, please gamble responsibly. I have actually put a bet on this game, specifically for this game. I am going 2-1 to Partick Thistle. That is my prediction.
I hope you're spot on, mate. I really do hope you're spot on.
I hope I'm spot on, I know, because I'll get some good money back on that. But no, I'm going to go Partick Thistle to win big. I'm going to go Partick Thistle to win when it matters. And I think, in my opinion, guys, Partick Thistle win this league.
Oh,
Alex Samuel.
big shout. Big
Alex
shout.
Samuel.
By the way, thanks for your comment. And he said really enjoyed the you guys talking about the whole of Scottish football. And he did say that he enjoyed the show up until Robbie's questions. That's a good point. That
Listen, just because you couldn't get any of them right, I'm not having this.
Michael,
You know they were good questions.
Did you give the answer to the last one? No.
Yeah, it was Brian Graham.
All right. Okay. That's
Reagan
okay. Okay.
Oh, come on, Michael.
Okay. So I will go. Plenty of goals tonight, Reagan. 2 each for Hill. There you go.
2 each. I'm going to go, unfortunately, 3-1 to St Johnstone.
He's better. Every single game week, this man's went Partick Thistle are going to win. Now we've got right down to dying embers, and he's went, nah, St Johnstone will win the league.
I hope they win, but I just can't see it. I get paid good money on this show to tell my opinion. Then I tell my opinion. You know?
I want my prediction. I want to sit on the fence, but you know what?
Michael.
Yeah.
Michael's done that all season long.
But I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna say one each, but you know, I'm gonna go for a Jags win, just because I want them to win to make it interesting for the closing.
I'll go for a Jags win as well. Then I'll go for 4-1. Come on.
No, well, Robbie, I mean, I can't believe this man called Reagan has basically predicted every team to win the league in the division, going for Johnson winning, and they said, oh, no, wait a minute, I'll go for a Thistle win. I think Reagan would be one of these guys that would set out the bookies, Robbie, and at 4:45 come in and say, yeah, I told you so, they would win the game after all the games that's played.
Well, my honest opinion is St Johnstone will win, but I was getting slagged for it, so I hope that Partick will win, but I don't think they'll win.
Listen, I think there's a reason why St Johnstone are favourites for the game and the title, because they're just not having an exceptional season under a really good manager, in fact. And as Alistair said, you do struggle to see how they don't get over the line at this point, but there's just something I like about Partick Thistle and Mark Wilson, that it's a never go away attitude, it's a never give up attitude, that they're still in that fight. And let's be honest, in December, November time, we would have written St Johnstone to win that league. You know, everybody, I can remember people on the show going, "Oh, it's St Johnstone's title, they'll walk away with the championship," but Thistle have given themselves a chance.
Robbie,
Let's-
I've watched Ben Stanley all season. He scored a great goal against Queen's Park. He scored a free kick when I watched him. And I watched him against St Mirren as well. Obviously, you must have watched it as well. I mean, I think he could definitely play at a bigger club as well.
I would have told you that about Let Sosa as well. And Stanley just as much, by the way. Stanley's a very good creative player, but see Le Sosa and his movement on the ball, it's nothing
He's good,
like
aye.
I've seen in a long time. I'm very good in Paisley. But Stanley just as equally, Regan. He's a fantastic player. And it's players that, if Thistle can keep a hold on next year, and depending on who comes down and obviously who stays down, if you know the players sort of going probably our favour, it's looking like Thistle will have themselves a couple of decent players going into next season.
Okay, let's have a look at all the other games tomorrow as well. By the way, Reagan has got another team tomorrow as well. He's got my Queen's Park against Abrov.
Yeah, I was talking to the manager today. They were in good form.
Yep. I hope you didn't say I want Packet Thistle to win the league, but never mind. Abrov against.
Kind of winning, so I do want Partick to win the league.
Yeah, Abrov against Queen's Park, Ayr against Morton, Red Rovers against Erdley, and Ross County against Gownsfermin. Robbie, that's the games tomorrow.
Yeah, the black and white tinted specs are looking at Ross County and Dunfermline for obviously Neil Lennon, and maybe seeing if his head's maybe turned. There's obviously a lot of speculation came out this week. We've not really heard them talking before the game, but it will be interesting to see, you know, if he does get asked at any point about being linked with the job and what he says, because, you know, you can sometimes tell when managers' heads are turned. You could almost see it with Robinson, you know, when the sort of Aberdeen rumours were flying about a few times. But aye, that's probably my pick. I mean, Abrov Queen's Park's a cracker because Abrov are doing so well in the league right now. I believe they're sitting third right now.
Yeah, they're playing some horrible football. I watched them against Partick Thistle. They sat 10 men behind the ball.
Aye, but you know, they've got Ryan Flynn.
But I tell you what, see that home stadium right next to the sea? They play some great football there. I've got to see that.
They have Ryan Flynn in midfield, but so they get 10 extra points. So, but look, they're getting results, aren't they? They're sitting third for a reason. They're clearly working off some good results in the championship. But like Michael, we say this every week, and we obviously appreciate Ian's comment. The championship's probably for me the best league in the division, in the top four right now, debatably, because every team's in with a fighting chance of finishing somewhere. You know, there's no mid-table teams right now. That teams can still get relegated, teams can still get in the playoffs. It's very open there, so it's a very entertaining league.
What about League Two? Spartans and East Kilbride, 1 point between them.
Aye, and everybody.
The top flight, man. What about that? League Two.
Everybody thought East Kilbride were going to run away with the league as well.
What's your team in Division 2, Reagan? Have you got a favourite team there?
I quite like East Kilbride, you know.
Yeah, ooh, glory had that.
Well,
It's all about the Dumbarton. That's the team.
yeah, Son of the Rock.
Turned a wee bit of a corner recently. Dumbarton had a couple of good results. Beat Spartans, beat Stranraer as well, I think.
I'm a Stranraer man myself, me. I like a bit of Stranraer, so that's my League Two team.
You always in the ferry, that's why you like Spartans.
I can't believe it. All other teams in League Two, you picked East Kilbride. I can't believe it. You've jumped right in the bandwagon. No, but you've jumped right in the bandwagon.
I might get a free meal at Groffield
Other restaurants available.
Yeah, exactly. Well done, Ethan. Yeah, well done. Ethan's always at the back post, put them in the net. So well done. That's all for tonight, guys. It's been a fantastic show, and enjoy your football tonight. And I wonder what Reagan will be up to after the game. But we'll see you soon here on the Scottish Football Zone.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.